How's your first 2-3 weeks going?
It's been going well. You know, it was a whirlwind at first. I got hired on a Thursday. We started spring ball on Saturday, so everything that first week was going at 100 miles an hour, and just trying to learn people's names, staff and players alike. It slowed down here this last week, so starting to get more comfortable. Excited to be here.
How much time did it take in terms of, as you just kind of alluded to, having that short time frame to kind of indoctrinate everybody with what your ideas were and kind of do your install, so to speak?
Yeah, I think we shifted the focus a little bit. I think originally I anticipate jumping right in with scheme. We touched on philosophy and just kind of expectations, and almost treated those first 4 practices as kind of a tryout, so to speak, where I could get a chance to evaluate their skills and do it in a drill setting, so it was applicable to what we were trying to teach scheme-wise, but not diving into scheme just yet. And then once we got back from spring break, I got a better feel for the personnel. We started to get more involved with scheme work Tuesday and today, and then Saturday's scrimmage will be big scheme related.
So did you watch a lot of film last week on the first 4
practices? Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm studying film from our practices. I'm studying film from what they did last year. Less from a schematic standpoint, but more from a personnel evaluation. So yeah, I spent a lot of time watching tape.
Sean Dillon from the Rockin' pregame.
Hey, how are you?
Doing good.
Good to see you.
What do you, after looking at 4 practices and everything, how do you think the cupboard was left for you?
Well, there's talent here. There's no question. I got 4 senior specialists that have a lot of talent, and it's my job to get them right. And I'm here 3 weeks, and I'm looking from March 1st forward, and they've been outstanding. They've been completely bought in, that group of specialists, the younger guys as well. The talent that'll man the units from the position groups, I think it's there. I mean, and the buy-in from the staff, I think just everything through 6 practices, 3 weeks, spring break included, has been phenomenal in terms of Coach Kingsbury's emphasis on teams, the staff buy-in and their active participation in carrying my message into the meeting rooms, onto the practice field has been outstanding. I've been very pleased.
Cliff said that obviously that you want to do special teams and nothing but special teams pretty much. And obviously ever since about 2000, you've been a special teams coach. What was it that made you gravitate toward that area specifically?
I was just an average college player, so I couldn't get on the field much as a safety, but I found a home on special teams. And then when I was a young coach, that was the way I could have an immediate impact, was getting involved with special teams. And for my first job, that's what I did. I would help the special teams coordinator out, and it just, every job I've gotten since has been because of my passion for special teams. And I believe it with all of my being that we have a great impact on the game. Field position dictates offensive and defensive success, and most of your possessions start with a special teams play. So if we can give our defense long fields to defend and give our offense short fields to operate with, we'll be a better football team. And that's something I believe in, something I bought into, and something I'm extremely passionate about.
So you kind of feel like you found your niche, and that's what you want to focus on.
Well, yeah, I found my niche 20 years ago, and it's carried me thus far, and it's taken me here. And I think some staffs with the addition of the 10th assistant have decided to go the NFL route, so to speak, where they have a special teams coordinator who is just devoting all of his time to that. And I think it's a more effective way to approach it. It gives that guy in that position the opportunity to study personnel, to interact with guys on both sides of the ball throughout practice, in position meeting rooms, and really from a film study and technique development standpoint, I think it's been good.
Coach Eric Kelly, KOBK, with the amount of new coaches kind of on this staff, has it been nice to have other guys where you can be like, oh, we're kind of new here and trying to figure it out as you go?
Yeah, I'm not the only one, so they've been welcoming, the players have been welcoming, obviously all the people here, Texas Tech and in Lubbock have been great. So it's definitely comforting to have some other guys that are in the same boat as me, so to speak, but it's something I always prided myself on, is developing relationships early. And I think as a special teams coordinator, you really got to get out and reach everybody, whether it's a defensive lineman on special teams, a wide out, a corner, the D-line coach who's helping out. You really got to have that kind of personality to really bring everybody into the fold and that's kind of helped me in my adjustment here.
When you're trying to get guys to buy in, you talked about that. Is it more on the player, or is there kind of a speech or motto you kind of give them on how important it is?
Well, to be honest, it starts with the staff. If there's any inconsistencies in the message that the players are receiving, it's not going to happen. I could be as passionate, I can deliver a message. If the position coaches don't carry that message into their meeting rooms, don't carry it onto the practice field with their intensity, with their attention to detail, it's not going to happen. One man cannot create a culture, and that's what we're trying to do here, is create that special teams culture. And then the players have to buy into it. And how do they buy in? You got to give them testimony. This is how special teams will impact us. This is how special teams will make us win. This is how special teams will lead us to a championship. It's testimony over theory at that point.
Speaking of championships, I guess y'all won a championship at Ohio State last year, but didn't get to go to the playoff. What was that experience like for you?
It was outstanding. I mean, it was a year spent at a program that is kind of at the pinnacle of college football, and every coach, whether you're a young coach or an old coach, if you're not continually growing and getting better, you're wasting your time in this profession. And to have that opportunity to spend a year with Urban Meyer and with that staff at Ohio State and with that culture has made me such a better coach, made me a better person. It was an invaluable experience.
And this it's kind of a new part of the world for you down here. What was what's your early impressions of Lubbock and West Texas, and B, what was your family's reaction when you said we're moving to Texas?
Early impressions, I love Lubbock. I mean, it's been great, and I draw from past experience. I'm from just outside of New York City. My wife's a New York City girl. We both went to college in the Northeast, and that's where I started my coaching career. But then our travels took us to Bowling Green, Ohio. And not that Lubbock and Bowling Green are identical in our minds, and without ever being here, we kind of thought they would be the same. And in 3 weeks here, I get that sense. It's a strong community. It's a community that's attached to the school and to the program. And it's what we're looking for. It's one of the things I love about being a college football coach and raising my family in a college environment, is to be part of the college town. And they're excited to get down here as well.
Two more.
Coach Kent Carlson, Fox 34. Just why do you think that your resume is impressive? Why do you think players adapt to you so well?
I think it's about relationships. I mean, there are great scheme guys out there. There are great recruiters out there. But I think at the end of the day, to be an effective coach, it's about reaching kids and tapping into the human spirit, so to speak. And that starts with relationships. There's that old saying, they won't know how, what's the saying? I'm going to butcher it here. They don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So you got to develop a relationship. You got to tear down all walls and open up your chest and say, here, I'm here for you. I can be more than just a coach. I can be a mentor. I can be a friend if you need that, someone to talk to. You got to take an invested interest in their lives. And when you do that, the relationships build, the trust grows, and then they want to play for you, right? That's that whole, how do you get that tag of being a player's coach? Well, they got to want to play for you. And how do they do that? I think I just described that.
You said a moment ago that you couldn't get on the field as a college player. Can you elaborate? What were you? That was
that was an embellishment to say why I got into special teams. I was a heck of a special teamer, but I was honestly a step too slow as a safety, and I found a niche on special teams, and I knew that, and I bought into that fact even as a young player and a young guy in the profession, that that was my chance and my opportunity to impact the game. And I think when you have those guys that may not be your starter on defense or your starting tailback or your guys that are getting all the headlines, you get those guys to be effective and productive special teams players, it unites the team, because you got that walk-on that's leading the team in kickoff tackles. And now the starter sees that that guy's valuable because he's allowing our defense to start with a huge field to defend. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
What all units did you play on? Or what was your specialty on the special teams? Were you a coverage
all four?
guy?
I was all four. I was that guy that I like to say exceeded my skill set. I was a 4.7 40, but I played at 4.5. Nobody was beating me down the field on kickoff coverage, and that's kind of what we're trying to get these guys to do. You've got a skill set, you've got a measurable time, but if you can exceed that skill set, that takes you to that next level, and that's what we're trying to impress upon these guys.
Were you a gunner? Or
Thanks,
what?
Coach.
You a gunner?
Too slow.
Too slow.
I was the person protector. I ran the punt team.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Coach.
Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Coach.
Nice to meet y'all.
Stars from those first 4 practices, or anybody that after you went back and watched all the film last week that you were especially pleased with or happy with?
You know, not quite yet, and not that anything's wrong. I just think for us, we're running so many plays in one set of practice that there's always going to be some good and some bad. Seen a lot. You know, we have some high school kids here, to be honest with you. Our quarterback and a couple of receivers that really should still be in high school are doing really well. But as far as the varsity, everything right now is kind of running together. I think we'll know more on Saturday.
What's your that group with Dante Thompson, Carr, Mason Reed, kind of your tight end, big back, Y guys? What's your early impressions of them?
Yeah, no, I think we're going to be able to use those guys for sure. I mean, you know, they've all gotten bigger and stronger in the off season. They're allowing us to do some things in the throw game, which helps. But we like them. You know, they're more physical than they were a year ago. So for us, it's a matter of still putting together those packages and how we want to utilize their skills. But there's going to be something there for sure.
Coach, what's the point for you, at least, that rust and kind of time away from the field isn't really an excuse for kind of small mental mistakes anymore?
With our players?
Yeah.
Yeah, right now. You know, we should be on it. We meet enough. We walk through enough. We've talked. We're not doing any new plays. This is our base installation that we do every single year. So these kids should know it by now. And I think, other than the high school kids that just showed up, most of the old guys know what's going on.
What's kind of your game plan, so to speak, for Saturday?
You know what? We need to play and just move the ball. And as silly as that sounds, but we just, sometimes in practice it's controlled so much that you never get a feel for the ball actually moving down the field. So we might throw a pass for 40 yards and we get to feel that momentum of moving it, or you take a sack and you fumble and it's a negative play, and then now you have to respond to being in 2nd and 20. So I think for us, we just want to play a lot of football, a lot of game situations, and let the kids feel those situations, let our quarterbacks feel them, so that we get a good flow of how we're trying to play and how we're trying to use our tempo to our advantage. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.